Where do you think we're headed? I want to talk. That's where
I think we're headed to recession. I don't think there's a choice.
Right. And do you think that they're single-handedly trying to crash this economy?
For sure.
Welcome to the Troy Kearns Podcast, where we talk all things real estate, business, and entrepreneurship. Today, I've got a good friend of mine and my business partner in the skyscraper that we bought in downtown Kansas City, Robert Coomer. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Troy.
Man, you're an awesome dude. We told you about the mastermind. You kind of forgot about it, but then I remind you about it. You came back up here right away. This is only the second time you've been in the building, right?
It is. It's actually almost a year ago today. Yeah, it popped up in my memories on my iPhone the other day.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah.
So what did you think when you saw it for the second time?
It looks fantastic. The first floor is obviously vacant, but lots of improvements. I'm excited. Yeah,
and it's pretty cool to see like the whole downtown start to take off. You're seeing like all these buildings. They got the third power and light done, everything like that. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I saw that.
No, and they got 4, 5, 6, and 7 coming. So that's gonna start to breathe light. And the funny thing is, if you've been here, it's you see Kansas City. It's not too much activity during the day, but if you come down here on a weekend,
yeah,
it's crazy. And so that's the first thing. So tell me, Robert, like you're a lender, you're a real estate investor, but how long have you been in the mortgage lending business?
1999, so I'm going on a quarter century here next July.
So how'd you get in?
Well, it's the old 2 men in a bar story. I was actually a bartender and went on my first vacation to Mexico. I arrived about an hour and a half before my buddies did, and so I went into the bar for a margarita. Next thing I know, I'm talking to a patron, and he's a loan officer, told me what he did, and I'm like, God, that's interesting. I always used to get in trouble in school for not showing my math, and so I came home, and one of my regular customers at my bar where I bartended was a real estate agent. I said, I need to meet your lender, and the rest is history. Never turned back.
Really? So you grew up in Vegas, right?
No, Los Angeles. I moved to Vegas at 17.
Okay, so you grew up in Los Angeles, moved to Vegas with your family when you were 17. Mm-hmm. Then did you go to college?
I went for 2 years and quickly decided it wasn't my thing.
And then in Vegas, a bartending job is like a pretty good gig. Where were you working?
I worked at BJ's, and then I worked at Bix's. I don't know if you remember that.
What was it called?
Bix's. It was owned by Judge Bixler in the 90s, and it was a high-class place. I mean,
really?
I made really good money there.
What was the cross streets?
Peace and Peace Way and Fort Apache.
Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of know where that is. Oh, yeah. That's on like the southwest side of town?
Yes, way west.
Okay, cool. So you did that, and then just something randomly happened in your life that attracted you to mortgages.
Yeah.
And how was that first year?
It sucked. I mean, my first paycheck, I sold my bar manager a 125 on his home. For those of you that don't know, a 125 is 125% of your house's value. And the day that his loan funded and I got paid, my car payment was 29 days past due. I ran it into the bank, made my car payment, and earned regular paychecks from there forward. But I wasn't one of those part-timers that still bartended at night. I just dove straight in.
And for those of you guys who don't know, like, how big is your operation right now?
I am in, so I've got 32 branches in 18 different states, 250 employees, do about $1 billion a year.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And that was coming from, you've done a bunch, you've kind of zigged and zagged over the last couple of years. You went, and then, so when you first started in mortgages, like, when did you have your first really good year?
First really good year was probably either the year 2000 or 2001. So, I mean, it was before technology. You had to go into the office in the morning and check your email. There was no email on your phone or anything. But I worked for a call center operation.
Okay.
Were
you on the phones?
I was on the phones.
Oh, I love that.
On the phones. That's how I built my Las Vegas local book of business to begin with. We had billboards flashing interest rates on the side of the freeways. People would call in, and I provided really good service, and and kind of built it from there.
Were you always motivated by money?
Yeah, I opened my first business at 8 years old.
Okay, yes, I have a similar story. So you were always, I mean, because I bartended. You bartending because you make great money.
Yeah.
What kind of money were you making when you were bartending?
$500 a night.
Whew.
Yeah.
That's pretty hard to walk away from.
Yeah, it's really hard to walk away.
What did the guy tell you?
So for me, I don't know that it's all about money. I believe if you build it, they will come.
Right.
You have to care about it and want it and love it and treat the people good. But I compare myself to, a lot of people are good at sports. You're good at football, baseball, basketball. My sport is business. I get high off of getting a deal done and doing a good job and on to the next deal. So believe it or not, I was 21 years old and I thought that bartending had a shelf life. At the time, 30 was really old. I'm like, what's going to happen? 9 years from now, I'll be 30 and they'll tell me to get out and hire the next 21-year-old. Here we are, I'm 47. There's plenty of 47-year-old bartenders out there, but
yeah, for sure. I think you made the right move, though.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean that. And think about that's how much a choice can determine your life. Like if you didn't choose to get into the mortgage business, you might still be bartending.
Yeah, I had no clue what I wanted to do at the time.
Right. So, tell me about a loan officer with interest rates environment right now. It's a pretty scary situation.
Mm-hmm.
We've never seen, have you seen rates this high before?
I've seen rates close to this high. I haven't quite seen this climate in a market. This is by far the most challenging. There's always opportunity in a market. It's the most challenging, though. It's not staring you in the eyes.
Right. So how do you get the people in your branch inspired when rates, it could beat up the salesperson a lot, right?
Yeah. Just really guiding them and teaching them they need to deepen their relationships. They need to stay in contact with their past clients, be working on future relationships, and look for the opportunity in the market. Like I'm up here right now, you've got a room full of investors. Investors need money. That's an opportunity in a market like this.
Right, and we talked about that the other day. One of the things that we had talked about doing is possibly opening up a conduit for students and other people who are real estate investors to go and get that money. And you were like, yeah, we can get that together. And now you're up here. And you were on a coaching call with us, and there's a ton of interest from people who are always like, well, why didn't you bring him on here earlier? And I was like,
yeah,
you didn't ask.
I think we have 3 loans in process from
one call.
From the one Zoom call, yeah.
Yeah, mm-hmm. And I think now that you're in front of a bunch of people who are going to be listening to you speak and stuff like that, we're going to have you probably come up tomorrow at the end of the thing and just, talk a little bit about that, about mortgages and about what you can offer them, and I will think you'd see a ton more applications from that. And so for people who are trying to get started investing in real estate and trying to get started in the mortgage business, what advice would you give them?
Stick with it. I mean, I was always the first one in the office, the last one out of the office. Answer your phone. There are more people today and I've told my own staff this, if I dial all of your phone numbers right now, 9 out of 10 I'm going to get your voicemail. Answer your phone.
Why do you think that is?
It's just Do you
think they see the phone ring?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I talk to data scientists and lead providers, and they say that a lot of business nowadays, people will not answer your phone call, but they'll reply to your text.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. They're just silent and talk to themselves inside their heads.
And so you can't really sell through text.
No, you can't. And it's hard to tell if somebody's being nice or mean in text also.
Right. They could be totally meaning one thing and trying to say it a different way so you don't pick up on it. You're like, are they being an asshole?
Yeah, exactly.
Or do they actually like me? Or what's the deal going on here? So you just try to keep people motivated and keep them working on their business, because people are going to buy houses no matter what the interest rate environment is.
They are. A lot of people don't even realize. They look at, my interest rate on my house is 3.5%. Really? Okay, well, what's the interest rate on your car? 15%? Your credit card's 28%? How much credit card debt do you have? $50,000? Really, that 3.5% interest rate, the interest rate you're paying on your debt is actually 9.5% or 10%. if you wrap that into the mortgage with all the equity that you have, you can actually save a couple of $1,000 a month. So
debt consolidation is a big opportunity right now.
It's a big opportunity. The country's running out of money. The savings are depleting. The debt is increasing, and it's about creating awareness, because people, especially as social media climbs in awareness and so forth, everybody's saying, don't let go of those 3% rates. That's money that can work for you. It can, except for your debt will put you out of business.
Yeah, that's true. And the funny thing is, both of us were not on social media at all about 3 years ago. You've recently got on. I got on before you did. Not that I'm like an early adopter or anything like that, but we also followed it. But you didn't see yourself doing this type of podcasting, shooting videos about this, did you?
No. It's you got to stay relevant with the times, and this is the way business is done now.
Yeah, it's for sure. It's really interesting to see. Like, I see you coming across my channel, and I'm like, right on. And I'm actually learning some stuff. I'm like, I told you the other day, I was like, I didn't know what recasting was.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Like, there's so many things in the mortgage business that you just aren't aware of, like that you can get rid of PMI after how long?
PMI, 22% equity, or you have to keep it on your home for 2 years.
So 2 years, meaning that if I bought a brand new house right now and it had PMI, even though it had 22% equity,
So let me restate that. You can refinance PMI off at 20%, or it will fall off at 22% equity. So they leave them.
But you got to ask them to do that, right?
Correct.
Because they won't just do it.
You actually have to order an appraisal as well.
So you call the bank up, you say, hey, how much is a PMI? What as a percentage of your mortgage? What is that?
It can be anything from $40 a month to $600 a month. It's all algorithm now, so it depends on your credit score, how much money you're putting down, the neighborhood that your house is in, and so forth.
And you're literally paying for yourself to default and for the insurance company to get mortgage insurance for it, right?
Yeah, I'm going to take an insurance policy out against you in case you default, and you're going to pay the bill for my policy. That's what PMI is.
Yeah, it's awesome. And FHA has lifetime mortgage insurance, correct?
Correct. They charge you up front and finance it, and then they charge you per month.
Right on. So now, as you've shifted in the last couple of years to kind of investing in real estate, I think probably in the last like 5-6 years. Is that accurate?
Yeah, probably about 6 years ago. Mm-hmm.
Why do you think you've changed into that model?
So I had this friend, Troy Kearns.
I wasn't trying to ask that question for that, but I'll take it.
It was two different philosophies, right? One was save money, put it in the bank, and play life. I mean, I had my house and a second home, but then there was you that said, I want as little cash as I can have, because I'm going to buy properties, which is going to create passive income, which will take care of me for life. So you're going to hit a tough market one day, and my income is going to come in steady. And here we are, 2023. It's a tough market. I mean, thank God I've done well for myself, but
yeah, for sure.
But I mean, exactly what you said is a situation right now, and so it's time to not be a one-trick pony and to diversify.
Yeah, and I think that's smart. And for somebody who makes so much money, your tax bills scare the crap out of me. Like when I've seen them, and I'm like, man, the fact that you can just buy real estate, once you get that professional status where you're a professional real estate investor, which you can't be that far away from with the number of properties that you own. So you seeing that thing has been a trigger for you, because you first bought a property in Idaho. Was that your first kind of investment property?
Yeah, I'd say that was my first investment property. I had investment properties.
$2.6 million investment property, right?
Yeah, I had investment properties when I was younger, but it was two of them, and one of them the renters took off early. The other one I found out later on that it was a meth lab, and I'm like, I don't want $100,000 investment properties, because I had a 1-year lease and collected $1,200 a month. So I brought in $14,400 in rental income, and they did $30,000 worth of damage. I'm like, well, how'd you make out, Coomer? And so I didn't stick with it and say, most are winners, and I just had a couple of.
Yeah, it can happen, man. It's like, I mean, you make a lot of money, you make a lot of mistakes. It's easy to say, I don't want to do this. This isn't a worthwhile adventure. I could make more money over here. But as you've gotten older and you're getting 3 years away from that 50 mark, which, by the way, you don't look like it at all. You've actually gotten in better shape. You got better energy than you had probably in your 30s.
Yeah, for sure.
So tell me about that new routine that you've been doing, because I know that like you're texting me at like 6 o'clock, which is 4 o'clock your time. What's the new routine?
Wake up at 4:15 every day. I go to the gym 4 to 5 days a week. I have a personal trainer 3 days a week, and then just super strict diet and vitamin regimen.
So super strict diet, let's go through that. What does that look like?
Keto, Keto. I think everybody has different dietary, your body optimizes certain ways. And mine, if I eat carbs, it just slows me down.
Big time.
Yeah.
So you're staying away 100% from the carbs?
Yep.
What about sugar?
Sugar, I'll eat Skittles, and that's like
my guilty. There.
Yeah, but I don't eat cookies and cake and ice cream or anything. I mean, that's the...
Yeah, it's tough. But what were you at your high point? You weren't very heavy.
225.
And now what are you?
200.
200. Okay.
Yeah.
So and it just kind of melted off, right?
Yeah, it just fell off. No.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no weight loss drugs or anything.
Now, as a mortgage broker, or as in the mortgage loan officer, what do you prefer yourself to be called?
Mortgage banker is what we are. Yeah.
Mortgage banker. As a mortgage banker, what is the top end of that business earn?
I would say average top earner in our business, $1 to $2 million a year.
$1 to $2 million a year, and that's people who are crushing it, killing the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then, where do you take it from there? Where's the next step in that business?
So that's your average top earner. I got into running branches and then regions, and now I run a division. So. And
what does your day-to-day look like now?
I've got a lot of children, so.
Yeah.
So, it's really doing check-ins with my branch managers, check with my operations team, my underwriters and closers and so forth. And then make sure to nurture my partnership with our corporate offices and see to it that we're all aligned.
And how do you like that?
I like it. I enjoy it.
You've had a couple different ones, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Has this been the best one so far?
Yeah, it is, because we're backed by a bank now, so we're a federal charter. You can actually do your checking and savings with us. So
really?
Yeah, it's a neat, different spin. So now instead of selling you debt, we're selling you relationship. So it's just a different spin, something to set yourselves apart from, click button, get mortgage.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a lot of the things that are going on right now. Click button, get mortgage, and people don't understand. I do have a question that's pretty random. As a mortgage broker, as somebody who's like tested, state compliant, done all of your stuff, all of your continuing education, and then you see a company like Wells Fargo or Bank of America and says that their people don't need to take a test.
Mm-hmm.
How does that make you feel?
Well, my people don't need to take a test because we're backed by a bank. So
it makes you feel great.
It makes me feel great because I have really competent staff. If you're hiring off the streets, I mean, there's a whole lot of, not only book smarts, but street smarts that goes into originating mortgages. I mean, there's 5 reasons to deny every file. There's a whole artwork to packaging a loan, putting a buyer in a product that best serves them, thinking about the future and not just my paycheck, et cetera.
Right. And one thing for those of you guys who are listening right now, that the reason that Robert has been such a good ally of mine is that I have never, ever seen him say, I can close a deal. And I don't even think I've seen you say that I can't close a deal. I think everything you've ever touched, you come in. A lot of times when a loan gets denied and people say, that's kind of how you coined yourself a little bit, like as the guy who can get the deal done.
Yeah.
And that's how you build the relationship, because then people know, hey, why didn't you just go and do it in the first place? But like I remember we first met, and we had a lot of people call us, and they were like, yeah, we can do this, we can do that. And then watching how professional you were and watching how you never didn't close a deal, how do you have such a good track record?
Well, I think it's because I started when I was 21 years old. So agents looked at me like I was a joke, like I was some kid walking into their office. And so my line used to be, I understand you have a relationship. When your relationship screws up, let me be your first, second choice. And I just built it from there. So I've done builder fallout across the country, real estate agent fallout, and it's not what I pride myself on. I want to be your first choice. But it taught me that, if the only thing you can swing at is difficult files because you're 21 years old and people don't respect you yet, it taught me to be a student in my game and to outperform my competition.
So by necessity, you had to get good at the game. And so, like you said, it's an art form. So that like, hey, I got to put this thing here. The underwriter's going to kill me if they see this, so I need to put this part over here to give them the explanation, because how they're looking at the file.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So if I'm a mortgage broker and I'm in this market right now and I'm having a hard time, what would your advice be to me?
Again, stick with it. Double down on your energy, double down on your social media, double down on your sphere of influence. Again, answer your phone, but I would also say a lot of people just go out in crowds with their family, friends. They go to their kids' softball game, religious things on the weekends, and they just say hi to everybody. Does everybody in the room know that you're a mortgage banker? Because if they don't, you're already screwing up. That any room you walk into is an audience, and if they don't know what it is you do, then that's your free audience, and people have needs.
Why do you think people are so worried about saying what they do for a living?
I don't know. I mean, they're fearful that mortgage bankers and brokers are frowned upon,
Are they?
We were after 2008, but not anymore.
Yeah, was it like, 2008 was pretty rough. Talk about that.
Yeah. 2008 was completely, orchestrated by Wall Street and bank executives. But, when the market melted, it was all
you think they planned it?
For sure. They put together all the products and rolled them out on the streets and told us, this is what you have to sell. This is what's on your menu. And so we went out and sold what we had. And then when the market collapsed, it was those scummy loan officers that committed loan fraud across the country. And it just,
And you think Wall Street set them up?
Well, I think they rolled the product out, and that there was no mechanism in place to protect the industry from. We were doing 100% stated income financing for investors.
Oh, I know. I got a couple of those loans. I got those before I moved to Vegas. That's why I bought bad investments.
Yeah. Well, and Vegas you were in Vegas back then, and Vegas was the perfect market for that product, because back then there was no IRS tip compliance. So your bartenders, valet guys, cocktail servers, they all made $12,000 a year on paper, but they really made $200,000 a year.
Right.
And so they needed those stated income loans. The rest of the country, however, was using the stated income loans, and they really earned what they were showing on paper.
Right. So was that a tough time to be in the business?
No, I had one of my best years ever, 09, 10, 11, 12. Again, student year game. So you have to pivot. Today we just talked about, focusing on investors, cash out, showing people what their debt looks like. Back then it was short sales, foreclosures. There was plenty of opportunity back then. I always say the loan officer with the most friends wins, and it's true.
Yeah, it's a contact sport. You definitely have to know people. You can't be a secret agent. Where do you see kind of like things going for you in the next 10 years? Do you continue to see yourself involved in business and mortgages and things like that? Or how do you see things shaking out for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I really do want to diversify. So I'm going to continue running my division and doing loans for friends of mine, family, et cetera. but more coaching people in my industry and focusing more of my attention on flipping houses and acquiring investment properties.
You like that. You're surrounded by that now too with a couple of the guys in the industry, right? Like me, and also you work with Galindo.
Yeah. And I mean, we all kind of grew up in the industry together.
That's right.
You know,
we're old school now.
Yeah. You're old school. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, dude, you're not. You're freaking brand new.
It's not true. I'm old school. But.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of happened. You realize that when you're like, oh, I've been in this game for 15 years or 16 years or 17 years. And you're like, that's a long time. It doesn't seem like a long time, but the amount of faces that you see, the amount of people that you see go by, you see people like all sorts of crazy stuff. You've had some interesting relationships through that I've seen go sideways, and the reason I have so much respect for you is how you handle those types of things. I would get vindictive. You're like, whatever, man, I don't have the time for it. I wish you the best and go on your way, and I'm going to continue to do my thing. And that's really cool. So you see yourself doing a lot more investing in real estate, a lot more developing and coaching. There was a guy that everybody was a big fan of about, I want to say like 6 years ago, Rick something or other, Rick Ruby, is it?
Yeah.
Is he still around?
Yeah, he runs the core coaching program. I'm actually in a different coaching program. They're almost polar opposites.
Right. Like the core is just what? Call a bunch of people?
Yeah, it's very militant. Stick to certain numbers on your profit and loss, or have a certain number of coffee and conversations and reach outs, and they equate to, transactions.
Right. And which one are you in?
So mine is more business and life coaching. So it's about centering yourself, your energy, and
Ooh, I like that.
Knowing where to put it, type of thing. So again,
What's it called?
Both models work. Leadership 360. So Tim Brahim is the Tim Brahim.
Brahim, okay.
Yeah, so he's the founder of Loan Toolbox, which was the first mortgage CRM to be invented. And when he sold the company, he went off and formed a coaching company.
Cool. And how does that one work? Are you on like meetings every week or?
No, we do 2 retreats a year. We do 3 or 4 Zoom calls there's about 40 of us in our group right now. And then they have different spin-off classes for topics that you're interested in, and then one-on-one coaching 1 time per month. You're at a pretty high level now. Is some of that stuff just kind of like, I know it, I just need it reinforced? I look at because I've been in this group for 7 years now, and
Same group, 7 years.
Seven
you get paid monthly or annually?
Annually.
How much does it cost?
It's like, I think it's $22,000 a year.
Just drop in the bucket.
Yeah, drop in the bucket. But I mean, honestly, I look back on the 7 years, and they called Bitcoin before it popped, and it popped. They
right.
called, short video when people were just doing snapshots of themselves and their family. Like there's a lot of things that they've called prior to it happening. So I don't think I'm at the top of my game. I think that we learn from each other. They're in different markets from across the country. I'm great at number crunching. There's a couple of guys that are fantastic at marketing and social media, but maybe they have their staff do the loans. I roll up my sleeve and do the loans, and I'm learning how to do the social media. So I think we'd learn from each other.
I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Make sure you give us a 5-star review. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share this podcast with a friend, and make sure that you schedule a call with me and my team. We have the Millionaire Mentorship Program. This is for newbie and advanced investors to get started investing in real estate. And if you're listening to this podcast right now, that's exactly what you want, right? You want to learn how to invest in real estate. It's changed my life. It can change your life. And we have a program that'll help you get your first or next investment property within the next 90 days, or I'll pay you $1,000 cash and you don't pay. Guess what else we're launching? We're launching a fund. And if you're interested, I'll include a link in my bio to this fund where you can actually invest with me on a lot of the properties that we're in. In fact, I'm in one of my properties right now in downtown Kansas City, in a building that I bought using my own money, but I started with just 1 property, and you can do the exact same thing that I did, but you got to get started. You got to take action. So whether you want to invest with me in my fund or whether you want to schedule a call with my team, both those links are in the bio. Enjoy the show. Give us a 5-star review. You've started to get into the social media space. Is that from seeing other people in your market, or is that mainly from that coaching platform?
Both. I mean, I think I finally put on, and I would say I'm only 15% of the way there right now. I finally disciplined and realized that I'm not creative. You're not going to see me at, one of those wine and paint nights or anything. And so to get me started was difficult. I actually had to pay somebody, and she comes in, videos me, helps me edit and get it out there. And like I said, I think I'm 15% of the way there.
So you're really going to love, I know you're here right now, you're at our mastermind, it starts tomorrow. One of the people I just did a podcast with is actually my TikTok coach.
Okay.
I hired you need to get some one-on-one time with him.
You told me about him. I'm looking.
He was the guy that was in here with the long hair?
Is that the picture said ginger?
Yeah, ginger marketer.
Yeah, see, I saw it on your
yeah. He's badass, man. He is really, really good, and he'll teach you a lot of the stuff that you won't be thinking of. It's very psychological, social media is. Like, I'm sure you get the weirdest comments. Have you looked at any of your comments? Like the comments that you get if like you're wearing, like you should just wear something like askew or have your fly down one time. It's like, those are the videos that just take off. Like, right. Because it was something weird. Like I had a video that hit like 5.3 million views, and it was because I was wearing these glasses, like on purpose, but I didn't realize it. But they were like really bad looking glasses. Like they made my eyes look like that big. And then I just told people why they'd be broke, and it just took off. And that was when I really saw the social media had such a big reach. And then seeing a lot of guys in our market start to take off, and realizing that, hey man, because I think for people like you and me, like you have this awesome skill set as being a mortgage banker, where you're able to basically figure out any loan to get it to close. If it's closable, you're going to close it, and that's a skill.
Yeah.
And people who are on the outside looking in, they're like, oh, okay, just whatever. But have you ever thought about transitioning into the coaching space?
I have, just never really done anything with it. I do coach my own people at work.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but I haven't fully.
But they don't pay you other than mortgages, right?
No, they don't.
And it's the craziest thing is, like, you tell somebody, you give all this great advice, and then you start charging for it, and people listen.
Yeah, because they're paying. They have skin in the game.
Right, for sure. So you guys have branch offices where in town?
We don't have any in Kansas City, but we're Nevada, California, Arizona, Colorado, Hawaii, Washington, Idaho, Florida. I'm missing a couple, Pennsylvania.
I wasn't expecting you to get it 100%. I was just questioning.
Yeah.
Where are you guys based out of?
So our division headquarters is in Las Vegas, Nevada. Our bank headquarters is out of Minneapolis, Minnesota.
The division's headquarters out of Las Vegas, Nevada, and the bank headquarters is out of Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Yeah.
It's a cold place, man.
Yeah.
Have you been down there in the wintertime?
Only the winter. So I haven't been down when the weather's nice. I've only been out getting pounded by snow. It's beautiful, don't get me wrong, but I haven't seen the colors change or the things people talk about down there.
It's flat, lots of lakes, and lots of fishing and bugs.
Yeah,
basically
and bugs.
In the other time.
Yeah.
So, as this real estate deal that you bought, and I know I'm kind of jumping around, but there's so many just interesting topics with you. This real estate deal that you just bought in Idaho and you just sold. Let's walk through that deal, because I think that's a great deal to talk about. Like, you bought this property to be your vacation home.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Tell me about that.
So, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I went on a branch manager meeting down there in 2016 or 2017, and I just fell in love with Lake Coeur d'Alene. I loved the city. It was charming, and so my wife and I, we always took the kids for beach vacations. It could be Mexico, Hawaii, just San Diego, whatever. It was always white sand beaches. And I came home from this trip and I'm like, babe, we have to do a lake house. It was unbelievable. you never swim in the ocean when you're in California. You just look at the ocean. Oh, it's so pretty.
Yeah.
Trust me, we're going to have an amazing time. So get on VRBO, and of course, Robert Coomer finds this big, huge, massive mansion to rent with a waterfront dock, and called the boat rental company, and I get us all set up, and family comes. We have the time of our life.
Right.
And there was a faded for sale sign in the water next to the dock, and there was no for sale sign in front of the property or anything.
So this property's on VRBO. It's you're staying in it, and you find a faded for sale sign in the water.
It was under the water, yeah. And so I told my wife, I'm like, I would love to buy this house. She's like, hell no, you're not buying this house. I'm like, babe, I love this house. She's like, there's not a fucking chance in the world you're not buying this house.
Why was she so against it?
She told me I'm not buying my house that I live in now too. She's just, a little more practical than me.
Yeah, she's more practical than you. Okay.
Yeah. So I dialed the number, and the agent's like, yeah, it's not listed right now, but it's owned by a husband and wife going through a divorce, and they've been trying to sell it for about 2 years, and no luck. They can't agree on a price. I'm like, did you say divorce? He's like, yeah. I'm like, so there's blood in the water. He's like, yeah. And they had it listed at 2.6. I think I offered them 1.7 or something. And it's 80 degrees. It's summer. Their house is renting all the time. So he came back the next day. He's like, not no, but hell no. And I'm like, that's cool. I'll call you back in January when it's snowing outside and you have 0 renters. And they're bleeding and they're further on in their divorce. And so I don't think he believed me. I called him back in January, and I think I offered him 1.9. And anyways, we settled at 2.2. And my twins were practically born at the time that I bought that house.
You were there all the time too.
Yeah.
How many times do you think you went there?
Oh God, 50, 60. I mean, we'd spend a month during the summer and 2-3 weeks.
It was your great place, right? You were like, cool, like I can check.
You stayed in there.
Yes, I did. Yes, absolutely.
It was just a dream house. I couldn't take the winters out there. Otherwise, I would have moved there.
Too cold?
Too cold. Well, too gloomy. It's like 8 months of gray skies and
dude, I grew up in Seattle.
Snow and so you're used to it.
I understand. That's why I got the hell out of there.
Yeah, I'm a California Vegas guy. Sun's out every day, So.
Yeah. So you ended up deciding that you were going to sell it.
Well, the market just kept going. So Coeur d'Alene was a sleepy market.
So when did you buy it?
I bought it in 2018.
So you bought it in 2018. When did you sell it?
I sold it last year, May. So May of 2022.
May of 2022. So you owned it for 4 years.
4 years. Mm-hmm.
What did you make on that property when you sold it?
$4.4 million.
You sold it for 4.4.
No, I sold it for 5.6. So sorry, I made 3.4 on it.
You sold it for 5.6? Mm-hmm. Was that the highest sale ever in that area?
No, I mean, now there's houses going up listed at 12, 15, 20 million. But yeah, it was one of the higher sales at the time. And now all the developers have caught on to Coeur d'Alene and, But
that had to feel pretty good about making such a great investment.
Yeah, it's bittersweet because that was my happy place, right? So, I mean, it's one of those things where I still have my boat up there. So I pay to store my boat so that I can VRBO and have my boat.
You still got it up there?
I do. It's one of those bad investments. If you're an investor, do not follow that strategy.
Yeah, like the boat. I heard the best day is when you get it and when you sell it.
Yeah, you know what boat stands for, right? Bring out another 1,000.
Yeah, yes, I have heard that before. And is it true?
It's true when it's $600 to fill the gas tank alone. Yeah, it's true.
What kind of boat you got?
I
just don't imagine you buy anything crappy. So.
Yeah, it's a 40-foot Formula.
Is that a nice boat?
It's a nice boat.
What do they cost?
So new, $500.
What did you pay?
$188. It had 16 hours on it. It was brand new. I bought it during COVID, so I'm like, I could sell it now for more than I paid for it.
Are you planning on keeping it, or are you still kind of commiserating with having to sell your baby?
I'm like 1 foot in, 1 foot out to if the market decides that it's not sustainable out there and I could get my hands on a waterfront lot for cheap enough, I'd build another second home.
Oh, you want to build another second home out there?
I would love to, but not at today's prices. So
it's just crazy. Do you see prices coming down right now?
know. We're in a complete lack of inventory, but that is a second home market. So it really depends on, I don't consider second home markets the same as, where you live with your family. So, it just really depends on what happens with the country if we go into a recession.
Where do you think we're headed? I want to talk. That's where
I think we're headed to recession. I don't think there's a choice.
Right. Do you think that they're single-handedly trying to crash this economy?
For sure.
Yeah, 100% for sure. Because they have complete control. And I don't even know if you're going to be able to answer this question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. The other day I was thinking about this, and I was like, okay, so the Federal Reserve, which we know is not federal, and it's not a reserve, they are a private company that is a central bank that regulates the supply of money and interest rates. So when they raise rates, they're making all of that money because they're loaning out free money to banks, right?
Yeah, but when they raise rates, we're also paying that rate on our debt. And so we actually can't afford to raise rates to where they're at today.
Okay, because the rate that we're paying our debt is fixed to whatever the prime rate is out of the Federal Reserve.
Yep.
Okay, so let's break down for everybody who's having a hard time understanding how mortgage rates are set. Can you break that down for the average person?
So mortgage rates, a lot of people will follow the 10-year treasury to kind of see where mortgage rates are going. Mortgage rates are actually, determined by mortgage-backed securities or mortgage bonds. So two different markets, they run pretty parallel with each other though. So for the newbie, or if you're at home watching, the 10-year will give you an indicator if rates will be better or worse tomorrow. But we watch the bond market or mortgage-backed securities.
Okay, and if I watch that, what am I looking for?
If mortgage backs are going up, then rates are going down. If mortgage backs are going down, then rates are going up. Okay,
and with this rate height, I can remember rates for a long time, since I was 17 years old.
Yep.
I think they were at 7% around then, 7.25% or something like that. They are now at 8.
Yeah, so when the Fed raises rates, they're actually raising short-term rates. So the Fed prime rate is actually credit cards, it's student loans, it's anything short-term. It's indirectly affecting mortgage rates. You're right. A week and a half ago, we were 8 3/8, 8.5. Today, we're high 7s, low 8s. So we've actually had a pretty decent week in the bond market. I don't trust it for a second. I think it can easily slip away from us, but we are.
Considering 7% is a good thing, is tell you how out of control things have been lately.
Yeah. Well, in 1999, actually 2000, I was about 1 year in the business. I did my own loans. I didn't make commission on myself. And my first rate was 8.99%. So back then rates were actually, about where they are right now. The only difference is I paid $135,000 for that house, and that same house today would be $550,000. So I think that's one of the things we're battling is median wages versus median price. $500,000 house, you need to earn somewhere like $105,000 a year, and not a lot of people earn that.
Really? Yeah. So living in Las Vegas, doing. Probably most of your loans are in Las Vegas.
A good portion of them.
A good portion of them. The average 52% of the workforce is aligned with the casinos. Mm-hmm. Those people are not making $102,000. What's the average person making that you're...
The casinos? Probably, it used to be 20s and 30s. Now I would say 50s and 60,000s. They're showing more money on paper now because tips are now reported on their checks, some as high as 80. So yeah, a husband, wife can qualify, but a $500,000 house today is not a $500,000 house back then.
Oh, man, it's
entry level. Yeah.
Yeah, what you got a house in one of the best areas. Actually, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but when I first moved to Vegas, first moved to Vegas, I lived at 106 Gamboge Street, which is in Eagle Rock, which is below Black Mountain, right on Horizon Ridge between Gibson and Horizon.
Yeah.
Okay, so I lived right.
So those modern houses there?
The ones on the right-hand side no, they weren't modern. They weren't even built back then. So it's it's the white little one stories that were right below the mountain.
I know where you're talking.
Yeah, and so when I first moved there, those houses were selling for like $330, and then they went down to $100,000. Now they're probably $500,000 houses.
Yeah.
But where you moved, it's funny. I actually, when I was first moving to town, I was just looking around, looking at stuff, and I fell in love with Dragon's Ridge. I don't know if you even know this, but one of my first jobs in town was at Dragon's Ridge as an on-call bartender.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, this is back when I drank, so
right.
I didn't work there very long because I got to drink on the job, and
Yeah.
I guess. Anyways, I was working there, and I was driving around, and I was looking at everything, and I found this distressed house in Dragon's Ridge, right?
Yep.
And I was like, oh, and I looked it all up. And the guy who ended up buying it was Lynn Wardley. Does he still live? Do you know him?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
So what did you pay for your house in Dragon's Ridge? And what is it worth now?
So I paid $3 million.
How many square feet is it? I know the answer.
11,000. It's 10,776.
Yeah, it's got the best pool that I've ever been in. It's like an awesome, awesome house.
Yeah.
And that one is worth what now? Conservatively,
call it 7.5.
I think it's probably worth more.
Yeah, you said conservatively.
Yeah, that's way conservative. The market in Dragon's Ridge, they're now opening back up the part of the mountain, right?
Yeah, so they've opened up a bunch of lots. Toll Brothers is doing townhomes in there. But they announced 2 years ago that they were going to build high-rise condos in there. 6 months ago, they unveiled that the brand of high-rise condos is Four Seasons. So I actually think that will drive our values up even further, because now we won't only have the Dragon Ridge amenities, but we'll have Four Seasons amenities as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So where do you see yourself? Like, are you planning on living in Vegas for the rest of your life? What's going on with you in the next? You're kind of coming to that. I noticed we've been talking a lot lately. You're definitely high on the real estate in terms of getting that cash flow going. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Do you see yourself continuing to live in Las Vegas? Do you see yourself buying other places? What does that look like?
I don't know. My twins are in second grade, so I've one big thing to my wife and me too is providing stability, not making them jump from school to school. So, do I want to stay in Vegas for 10 more years? Maybe, but I'm not against moving either. Where do I see myself? I don't know.
Where would you move if you didn't have anything to think about? Like, where would be the top place?
Cabo.
Cabo, really? I didn't know we had that in common. I did not know that. I'm a Mexico fan.
I love, me too.
Yeah,
me too.
Cabo I'm not a big fan of. Like, that's my least favorite pot.
I love Punta Mita.
I love Punta Mita.
Yeah.
I like that. I like the golf course at Punta Mita. I don't know if you've ever played that one. It's ridiculous. It's got that 3B hole. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
Have you played the golf course there?
No, I don't golf.
You don't golf?
I've lived on 2 golf courses. I don't golf.
Oh man, we got to change that.
Yeah.
You'd be good at it. Yeah, it's. Don't you have a membership? Don't you?
Yeah, I just don't golf.
Yeah, it's like just to let you guys know. Dragon's Ridge is like the nicest golf course in all of Las Vegas, probably top 1 or 2.
Yeah. I think Wynn has us, but
yeah, if you're not going to the Wynn, Dragon's Ridge is up there, and so you don't ever set foot on there.
No, I'm golf front. I don't, because I've always been too hyper my whole life. Now I actually think I'm in a space where I can, let 5 hours go and
I got
go
the same
golf.
problem.
But then I get in my head, if I swing and miss the ball, then I'm all pissed off, or I think that everyone's laughing at me. So I probably just need to commit to some lessons, and then I'd probably like it.
That is interesting because golf is a humiliating sport. If you don't play golf, and you could be like this mortgage broker who's making millions of dollars a year, and you go out there with that club and hit it about 5 feet, and you're like,
scrub, yeah.
You're like, Yeah, dude, you just feel like a complete idiot, right? And and then you it's the self-talk. Like you hear so much in golf about like the self-talk, right? Like I play this guy, I'm on this golf league, and this guy's like 75, my partner, and he's like, motherfucker. You know what I mean? He's like, you stupid, like his self-talk, you stupid idiot, you fuck. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll try to hit this shot.
Yeah,
it's crazy just to see like how much that game can really mess with people. And I think that the hyperactive, I've struggled with that. The hyperactive part of me is like, sometimes I'll just play 4 holes, or I'll play 9, or I'll play, but playing a whole 18 is like, that's a lot of time.
It's a commitment.
Yeah, it's 5 freaking hours.
Yeah.
So, you don't know, but Cabo, so tell me why Cabo?
I like Cabo, and I used to love Cancun, but I mean that's completely across the country and so forth. I know you've chattered a little bit about moving to Florida. If I lived in Florida, I'd say Cancun. So I think Cabo's it's a 2-hour flight. It's easy to go see family. It's less dangerous than some of the parts, which I've never been fearful of anything in Mexico, but
likewise. I think it's more dangerous in Las Vegas.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, sure. It's definitely, if you're going on D Street, which is where all my properties were, if you're going to Lake Mead and Martin Luther King, which is where a lot of my stuff was, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of home invasions in Las Vegas.
For sure there is.
You're in a double guard gated community, right?
Yeah.
That means he's got a guard and he's got 2 gates to get in. There's a reason why. Vegas is a fast and loose town, and there's a lot of guys that do home invasions there. People don't talk about it. Nobody talks about it, but there's danger in Vegas. And people always say, oh, well, if you go to Mexico, you're going to get in trouble. I talked to a cab driver or an Uber driver that last time I was in Mexico, and he goes, you know why they do that? He goes, your country wants you to spend your money there, not here. And it made a lot of sense to me. But the reality is Kansas City's more dangerous than Cabo, than Puerto Vallarta, than all these other places. And Mexico's a great place. So you enjoy the food, the culture, or what part?
Yeah, the food, the culture, the people, all of it. I love Costa Rica also. Have you been to Costa Rica?
I have. What part?
Peninsula Papagayo.
Ah, yes. I did not have a good time there.
You didn't? Okay.
I'm going to blame Ido Gavish for that one.
Got it.
Okay. You want me to tell you the story?
Sure.
All right. So we go. I won some sales club for Ido. He's like, hey, we're going to take you to Costa Rica. He's like, you'll love it. I've been there. It's amazing. Sweet. We had already been to Belize once. That was an amazing trip.
He put you in a shithole.
Dude, his wife booked the trip. I'm not even kidding you. It was an all-you-can-eat, all-inclusive, everything. Papagayo. You got Michael Jordan's house over there, right? Yep. We were staying at the hotel. We're using a Dixie cup for the water pressure to pour water over our head because the water's coming out that slow. I'm not kidding you. And then I'm like, okay, that's one thing. That doesn't get fixed. Yeah. So we're taking no showers, right? The other thing is, when you go down there to get a towel, they don't have enough towels for everybody, right? So, and then on top of it all, going to the all-you-can-eat, everything was recycled coconut. So it was like coconut ice cream, coconut potatoes, coconut pancakes, coconut everything. I was like, this place sucks. Yeah, and then I went to Los Sueños.
I haven't been there.
That's by Jaco.
Okay.
Do you know where Jaco is?
I do.
Yeah, so Los Sueños is actually pretty cool. It was developed by a guy who's from California but has his residence in Las Vegas. He took 1,000-acre. It's a lot like Punta Mita. If you haven't been there, it's like Punta Mita.
Got it. I've been to Punta Mita plenty. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Punta Mita is the cat's. That's where I'm more partial to Puerto Vallarta than Punta Mita.
Well, they're 40 minutes apart. I mean, I'll go visit you. You visit me.
That's right. That's right. So with everything with the economy right now, your business changing, you trying to get new investment properties, you trying to scale your business. What do you see being the biggest obstacle for you in the next couple of years?
Just staying clear and focused and on that path. I mean, I think since I've hit the age of 45, life is a little bit more about happiness and family than it is the rat race. And so making sure that I don't, leave one in the dust because I go all in on the other, understanding where I came from and what got me here, and because I'm a runner. I mean, you and I have had conversation. Troy, I have X number of dollars. Let's go buy 100 rentals right now, and you're like, whoa, slow down.
You're trying to make up for last time quick.
Totally, and so I think getting clear on what the path is, what it looks like, setting goals, and staying on that.
Just keep buying rental properties, man. It's the name of the game. I think that you've done. I think, like, if you're listening to this show, Robert's a regular guy, and he is the best lender that I've ever met. Period. End of story. I've talked to a bunch of them. There's some people who are crafty. They can get some things done. But truly, when we were selling real estate, that's all we used. We strategically relied on your team. Now, as we're starting to flip and stuff, I'm like, okay, we got to get we just talked about, we got to get repurposed with Robert and have him on our team so that we can close deals. And what do we mean by that? We're going to make sure that, hey, we can give a portion of the buy down rate to these people who are trying to get a mortgage. And because we're working with you, and we know they're going to close. So I really appreciate you coming on the show. I appreciate you sharing your story. Is there any words of wisdom you have for, like, people who are out there who are trying to get started, who are listening right now?
If you're trying to get started, I'm an open book. Reach out to me, Google me. I'd be happy to talk. But I would say, don't go in halfway. If you're going to go in, go in with all your energy, and anything in life will have its letdowns and its successes. Just push through it, and you'll come out on the other side.
That's right. And family's the most important thing. We figured that out. Took us a little while.
Yeah, I've
got the money, then you get the family.
Right? I've got a lot of kids.
Do you really? How many you got?
5.
Oh yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
You get some babies and some gronies, right?
Yeah. So 21, 20, 17 this week, and then 8-year-old twins.
Nice. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, guys. Make sure you give him a 5-star review, and we'll check in the next one. Peace. So I wanted to interrupt you in this podcast and just take a quick moment to tell you 2 things. Number 1, we do this for free for you. I haven't made a nickel on social media at all. I'm doing this to provide you enough value, so all I'm asking for you to do is share it and give us a 5-star review. It'll totally help us out, and I really appreciate it. The other thing, if you want more free resources like our free Facebook group, it's Millionaire Mentorship Real Estate Investing on Facebook. All you gotta do is join it. It's free. It doesn't cost anything, and there's lots of resources there, and we'll definitely give you those for free, no charge. Here's the other thing. If you're serious about investing in real estate and you're ready to take action, I have a program. No matter where you're at in your real estate journey, I can help you out. I don't care if you've got 5 houses, 10 houses, no houses, 100 houses. I've got something that I can share with you that's going to make you a lot of money. And if you want to become financially free and you're brand new to real estate investing, this is the absolute thing you want to do. And here's the thing. What I've learned from most of my students right now is that it's not just an investing program. It's a mindset program. We're going to change the way you think about money. If you want to start investing, make sure you schedule a call with me and my team, and let's get the ball rolling. Guess what else? If you are like, man, I don't got the time and I make tons of money, I just enjoy listening to what you're going to say, that's cool too. We actually have set up a fund where you can invest with us, but you got to be an accredited investor. If you want to find out what that looks like, all you got to do is click the link in my bio, fill out the form. It takes you about 2 seconds, and then we'll let you know about the deals that we're doing. We're doing big deals in Kansas City. And this year, I think we'll do 2 huge deals in Kansas City. I'm looking at a few right now, and I want you to be a part of it. And if you've got more money than time, then that's what you should do. If you got more time than money, then schedule a call with me and my team, and we'll get you into our coaching program so that you can have more money than time.